beautiful house on a safe street, protected by a solid border and brave troops under a proud flag. That promise has been broken now for several years after the Carney-Trudeau Liberals doubled housing costs, doubled the national debt, doubled food bank lineups, doubled gun crime, pushed $500 billion of investment out of Canada to the U.S. and gave us the worst economic growth in the G7. Now they're seeking a fourth term in office. But more immediately, on Tuesday, we're faced with yet another possible threat of tariffs. Mr. Trump, the President of the United States, has threatened that tariffs will kick in on Tuesday. We don't know if he's going to pull back again, but if the tariffs do happen, we must retaliate, and we must use the revenues mostly, almost exclusively, to cut taxes for Canadian workers and businesses to bolster our economy against those tariffs. Regardless of what the President does, though, we can't rely on him, and we can't rely on the Americans anymore. We've learned our lesson from 10 years of helplessness. We need to take back control of our economy and bring home a strong, self-reliant, and sovereign nation. Simply put, we need to bring it home. We must bring home our jobs, our resources, our production, our supply chains. We must not only harvest our resources, but we must build LNG plants and ports that can get those resources to overseas markets. That means tax cuts and greenlighting massive resource projects to bring home our jobs, businesses, and money, and to become less dependent on the Americans. It means rejecting the radical, keep-it-in-the-ground environmental agenda that Mark Carney has advised on Justin Trudeau over the last 5 years. That is why, over a month ago, I called on the government to immediately, 1, repeal the Liberal No New Pipelines Law C-69, a law that has blocked mines, pipelines, power dams, LNG plants that would make us more independent from the United States. 2, immediately convene premiers to remove, not talk about removing, but remove exemptions in the Canadian Free Trade Deal so Canadians can trade between provinces. 3, pass a bring-it-home tax cut on work, investment, home building, energy, and making stuff in Canada. 4, immediately remove red tape and taxes to boost home building. Wouldn't it be a wonderful way to help our beleaguered lumber business and our loggers to start building some homes? If we were to axe the federal sales tax and get a deal with provinces and municipalities to take their taxes off, we could build hundreds of thousands of extra homes, creating jobs for our tradespeople and boosting demand for our domestic lumber that President Trump is threatening and that President Biden already tariffed. But despite asking for all of these things over a month ago, nothing has happened. The Liberals have done precisely nothing in the last month to make us less reliant on the Americans. They shut Parliament so that we were not even able to pass any laws, or more importantly, repeal the devastating laws and taxes that they had originally put in place. Instead, Liberals have spent the last 3 months raising money for Mark Carney and fighting for power within their own party. So today, as we speak, the No New Pipelines Law, C-69, is still in place. All Liberal tax increases are still in place. Trade barriers within the country are still in place. The federal sales tax is still in place on new homes. The Carney-Trudeau Liberal policies that have doubled housing costs, doubled food bank use, doubled the debt, gave us the worst growth in the G7 and pushed $500 billion out of our country to the United States, all still in place. Speaking of pushing money out of Canada, we know that is exactly what Mark Carney did when he backed down to Donald Trump. On October 26, 2024, Donald Trump threatened tariffs against Canada to take our jobs. 6 days later, Mark Carney announced that Brookfield headquarters would move from Canada to Trump's hometown of New York City, giving Canadian jobs to Americans. And we all know, no matter what the corporate bigwigs tell you, that when the headquarters goes, the jobs and the money will follow soon after. Mark Carney did exactly what Trump wanted. He backed down and sold out our country. when Canada was under attack. He did it while he was acting as Justin Trudeau's economic advisor. When asked why he moved the headquarters out of Canada, he said he had nothing to do with it, that the decision was made after he left the company in January. Yet documents show that the decision was made in October of last year at a meeting that he chaired, where the decision was unanimous, meaning he agreed with it. And then he recommended it in writing to his shareholders. Confronted about his falsehood, he now says he should have been more precise. But here's the thing. He was very precise. He said, and I quote, "The decision, the formal decision of the board, happened after I ceased to be on the board." Again, the decision, the formal decision of the board, happened after I ceased to be on the board. That is a very precise statement, precisely the opposite of the truth. The formal decision happened in October, 3 months before Mark Carney left, and he chaired the meeting. Now, he told this to all of you, the media here today. Let's digest that for a second. He sat at that mahogany table, grasping the gavel, and recorded the decision, which he agreed with, to move the headquarters to New York from Canada. And then just the other night, when you asked him about it, he looked all of you in the eye, and he said the board made the decision after he left the company, and he had nothing to do with it. Are you ever going to believe anything he tells you again? Don't you think he should come before you and explain himself? Mark Carney has to come before Canadians and explain. He needs to explain why he lied and why he sold out our country, why he failed to put Canada first when we were under attack. He needs to apologize to Canadians, not only for lying, but for putting his personal profits ahead of our country. Mark Carney put himself first instead of putting Canada first. We need action to protect our country and its people, to take back control of our economic future, and to protect Canadians from greedy corporate executives who would ship our jobs abroad, and to bring home the promise of Canada. We have a common sense plan to do it. Conservatives will axe taxes, we will build homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. We will cut bureaucracy, consultants, corporate welfare, and foreign aid to bring down liberal deficits, taxes, and inflation. We will repeal anti-development laws like C-69 and rapidly greenlight mines, pipelines, factories, LNG plants, and other highly profitable projects. We will lower taxes on work, energy, investment, home building, and making stuff in Canada. We'll take the GST off new homes to build thousands of new places for young people to live. We will axe the carbon tax for real, for everyone, and forever. We will reject plans by Carney to bring that tax back. We will simplify our tax code so that our businesses spend more time hiring workers and serving customers and less time filling out forms. We will sell our natural gas in India and other overseas markets to displace dirtier forms of energy. We will actually confront Putin by displacing his energy dominance in Europe with Canadian natural gas, with LNG plants that will get the projects up and running and out the door so that we can bring home powerful paychecks for our people in this country. So the choice for Canadians will be simple. Do you believe that the Trudeau-Carney Liberals deserve a fourth term of hiking taxes, doubling housing costs, blocking resource projects, and making us hopelessly dependent on the Americans? Or are you ready for real common sense change? To axe taxes, greenlight big projects, secure our borders and our military, and put Canada first. And in the end, we will bring home the promise of this country where hard work gets you a great life that buys you a beautiful home on a safe street protected by solid borders and brave soldiers under a proud flag. Canada, let's bring it home. Yes, thank you. Let's not forget, the question was, what are we going to do to avoid or address a future softwood lumber crisis? It's not a future crisis, it's a present and past crisis. These tariffs have now been in place now for 9 years. After Stephen Harper succeeded within 80 days of becoming Prime Minister in convincing George W. Bush to eliminate the softwood lumber tariffs and reimburse $4 billion of wrongfully collected tariffs, the tariffs went right back in under Trudeau, and for 9 years the Liberals have failed to have them lifted. Not only that, but Joe Biden doubled the softwood tariffs on Canada. All of this before Trump. So the Liberals then went on to sign a trade agreement with Trump that allowed the tariffs to stay in place. That's one of the reasons we're in such a terrible mess. I will fight for an end to these softwood tariffs, and I would activate American home builders and young families looking to buy homes and say to them, look, you're paying more because of this tariff tax on building materials. So if you want more affordable homes, call your congressman and your senator and tell them to get the president to drop these ridiculous tariffs. Finally, why not build some homes in Canada? There's nothing Donald Trump can do to stop us from building homes in Canada. That is a homegrown business, pun intended. So if we take the GST off new homes, we incentivize municipalities and provinces to take their taxes off. Let's build hundreds of thousands of new affordable homes for our young families using Canadian softwood lumber.
Thank you. Next question.
Good morning. Laura Osmond with The Logic. If you could please respond in English and in French. In your Canada First speech at your rally, you spoke about leveraging Canadian energy and our cold climate to power AI data centers in the context of the tariff threat. How specifically would you leverage those Canadian advantages in the context of a trade dispute with the United States?
Well, the Americans need data, and data takes energy. These data centers are they're energy-eating beasts. As I said in my speech, an inquiry to an AI chatbot takes 10 times as much electricity as a Google search. Meta, Microsoft, Google, and other tech giants are all buying or building nuclear power stations so that they can power their data centers. The Americans cannot keep up with their own demand. We, on the other hand, have a surplus of electricity, a surplus that we could massively expand if we were to repeal the anti-development laws. We could build natural gas power plants in Alberta. We could get the politics out of the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission to speed up safe construction of both CANDU reactors and small modular reactors. We could produce even more hydroelectricity, and we could be paid hundreds of billions of dollars for that energy to power data centers. And let's make this the place to build them. If we have fast permits and clear rules, then the data centers can be built here, and that would give us more power. Imagine if the new gold, if the gold of the coming century is data, and we have it on our soil, then we're the ones with the control. That's what I mean when I say, let's bring it home.